Hello everyone. So in this particular class, we are going to discuss all the MCQs from the plant hormones. As I already told you many times, in JL and DL, you will get compulsory 2 to 3 questions from the plant hormones. So from this particular plant hormone, we are going to discuss nearly 100 to 120 MCQs in 2 classes. Okay, so in case of plant hormones, friends, we can expect the questions either from the statement related. If not the statement related, we can expect the questions maximum in the form of a matching, right? So now let's try to understand each and every question briefly and elaboratively. The first question: hormone replacing the requirement of the vernalization. Every one of you know very well what is vernalization. First of all, artificial exposure of a plant to the lower temperature. Is it or not? Artificial exposure of the plant to the lower temperature for a very long period of time. Now we have to ask why. Why we are exposing the plant, why we are artificially exposing the plant to the lower temperature? What is the reason? For the process of flowering also, as well as the seed germination also. Majorly for the process of the seed germination. What is the question they're asking? Which hormone replace the requirement of artificial exposure or vernalization? Undoubtedly gibberellins, because we all people know that gibberellins are the hormones which are involved in the seed germination. Simple question. Apical dominance is caused due to the action of. In today's class only we have discussed auxin is the hormone, friends, which is actually promotes apical dominance. What about the cytokinin? Cytokinin is going to inhibit the apical dominance. I hope every student remember what is actually apical dominance, friends. Suppose this is the shoot where the auxin is present, friends. We all people know that auxin is present at the tip of the plant. So whenever auxin is present at the tip of the plant, what is happening, friends? Auxin never ever allow the growth of the lateral branches. So what is apical dominance? Inhibiting the growth of the lateral branches. That can be done by what, friends? Hormone auxin. Promote Promoting of apical dominance is mediated by the auxin. Inhibition of the apical dominance is mediated by the cytokinin. Not to get confused with that particular point. Question number 3. The natural plant hormone isolated from the car kernels and coconut milk is obviously what is that? Zeatin. Most of the students will get confusion between zeaxanthin and kinetin. All the students remember. Zeaxanthin is the naturally occurring abscisic acid. Not to get confused, friends. Whereas kinetin, all the students please try to understand, artificially synthesized cytokinin. It is not natural, artificial. We are autoclaved actually. And what is the naturally synthesized cytokinin, friends, which we can call it as the zeatin? Not to get confused with that. What's the question they asked? Naturally isolated plant hormone from the kernels and milk, coconut milk, which is the zeatin, which is the cytokinin only. Not to get confused with that. Which one of the following is generally act as an antagonistic to the gibberellins? Obviously, abscisic acid. You remember, right? See, friends, every student remember, gibberellic acid promotes seed germination. Yes or no? Of course, yes. Gibberellic acid promotes the seed germination. But friends, what about the abscisic acid, friends? Abscisic acid is going to inhibits the seed germination. So which is, I mean to say, abscisic acid is acting against or opposite to the gibberellic acid. That's why abscisic acid is antagonistic against the gibberellic acid. Not to get confused. Auxin, zeatin means cytokinin, ethylene. These three are not acting opposite to the gibberellins. Only abscisic acid will act opposite. Question number 5. The phytohormone that helpful in the germination of the seed. Always remember, which is the gibberellin. Abscisic acid is a stress hormone. Auxin is a rooting hormone. I think twice it got repeated. Auxin is what? Rooting hormone. Gibberellin is the only hormone involved in the seed germination. The ripening of a fruit can be fastened by the treatment of. We all people commonly know that what is the hormone that is involved in the senescence as well as the ripening, undoubtedly ethylene. So friends, in order to make sure that the fruits will become ripened fast, what we will use a spray called as aqueous solution of ethylene. All the students try to understand me, friends. What is that particular aqueous solution of the ethylene is called as? I want you to remember, friends. The aqueous solution of the ethylene is called as ethaphone. Never ever get confused with that. That particular, when you spray the ethaphone on a continuous manner, the fruits will become ripened very fast. Anyway, they will ripen naturally also because of the ethylene, but in order to make it fast ripening, we use the aqueous solution of ethylene, which we can call ethaphone. All these are all properties of auxin. Morning class only we discussed. Auxin is involved in the cell elongation, promoting the apical dominance. Auxin stimulate the parthenocarpy. What is parthenocarpy? Without fertilization, seedless fruits. And do you think auxin have any kind of a direct or indirect role in the fruit ripening, friends? No. Which hormone is involved in the fruit ripening? Just now we studied, right? Hormone ethylene. Very simple point. Question number 8. The biological activity of IAA is tested by morning only. We have studied. There is a confirmatory test for the presence of auxin. What do we call Avena coleoptile curvature test? Where we have done this in the common oat plant. Who is the name of the scientist performed this particular experiment we discussed, right? Francis Siswent. Question number 9. Which one of the following hormone plays an important role in the seed development also, maturation also, and dormancy also? See friends, all the time remember the moment you heard the name of a dormancy. Every student remember the moment you heard the name of a dormancy, always remember one common point. The hormone which is released during the dormant conditions is always abscisic acid. What is dormancy? Dormant is the period where there is a no fertilization. When there is a no fertilization, seed germination also won't happen properly. So undoubtedly, what will be the answer, friends? Abscisic acid. Remember that. Question number 10. Which of the following physiological effect is caused in plants by the gibberellic acid? Friends, not to get confused, which of the following physiological effect is caused? Shortening of genetically tall plants. Do you think if a plant become tall by birth, do you think plant will become shorter? That statement only wrong statement. What is the point every student has to remember? The hormone gibberellic acid, listen my statements without confusion. Gibberellic acid is not going to increase the height of every plant. The gibberellic acid is going to increase the elongation of a plant which are genetically dwarf. By birth, which are short. Sometimes, friends, instead of giving dwarf plants, they can ask you the question, which of the following plant hormone is involved in the elongation or in rosette plants, which are growing on the plane of the ground. So rosette plant and in genetically dwarf plant, elongation can be mediated by the gibberellic acid. Rooting in stem cuttings, this is by auxin. Yellowing of the young leaves, what? Because of lack of hormone cytokinin. We all people commonly know that. Hence the correct answer is what? 2. Natural cytokinins are synthesized in the tissues that are. See friends, what we studied. They are asking natural cytokinins are synthesized in the tissues that are. See, most of the hormones like auxin as well as the cytokinin, they will always synthesized in a rapidly dividing regions. Right. So undoubtedly the regions which are rapidly dividing. I told you, right? Auxin synthesized in the apical meristem, whereas cytokinin synthesized in the root regions. Not to get confused. From the root, cytokinin is moving towards the shoot. Auxin from the shoot, it is moving towards the root. Hormone inducing the fruit ripening is, which is the ethylene. One of the synthetic auxin is. What are the examples of the natural auxins we have studied today morning class only, right? IAA and IBA. These two are the natural auxins. Is it? What are the synthetic auxins I have told to all of you? Naphthalene acetic acid, 2,4 dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, 2,4,5 trichlorophenoxyacetic acid. You remember I told you that these two actually acting like what, friends? VD sites. Anyway, these two they did not given in the question. What they have given in the question? Naphthalene acetic acid. This is the synthetic oxygen. This is natural oxygen. This is also natural oxygen. This is the hormone gibberellic acid. Correct answer is A1. A hormone. Most of the students here also they will get super confused. Remember and understand the given question. They're asking a question, hormone delaying the senescence. All the students remember the hormone which will promote or enhance the senescence, means which yellow the senescence, which promote the senescence, that is the ethylene. But what is the question they have asked? The hormone which is delaying the senescence. Undoubtedly, friends, that is the cytokinin. So because of the presence of cytokinin only, most of the time leaves will be green in color. Not to get confused, the leaf will be green in color just because of the presence of cytokinin. Not to get confused. How does pruning help in making the hedge dense? Not to get confused with that. It induces the differentiation of new shoots from the rootstock. No, it frees axillary buds from the apical dominance. That is only the ultimate goal of the pruning. And which hormone is involved in this particular pruning? Undoubtedly, friends, the hormone auxin only. The apical should grow faster after pruning. No. So we will cut it. If you cut it, how it will grow very faster? That is wrong statement, right? It releases wound hormones. No, that is absolutely wrong. So the correct answer is what? How does pruning help? It frees axillary bud from the apical dominance. By that, the axillary buds can grow very freely. Not to get confused. After pruning, the axillary bud will grow easily. Not to get confused with that particular point. Next, question number 16. Plant growth regulators, direct question, were first discovered in one of the following plant. What is the name of that particular plant? Oat. It's a direct question. The discover, why? Because which is the first plant hormone discovered? We discussed, right? The first plant hormone discovered is the auxin. And where the auxin was discovered first? In the Avena coleoptile, nothing but the common oat plant. That's why we can say that plant growth regulators were first discovered in the oat plant only. Not to get confused with that, friends. The discovery of plant growth regulators started with the observation of following scientists. We discussed right in the morning class. Charles Darwin and his son Francis Darwin. They are the one who started started observing the hormones first. We discussed it right in the morning class. They observed that when they observed the when they exposed the coleoptile to the unilateral sunlight, the coleoptile start bending. Then what the Darwin and his son said that yes, there is a chemical is present in the tip of the coleoptile. It is absorbing or perceiving the sunlight. Is it? So that first experiment done by the Darwin and his son. FW went isolated auxins from the coleoptile of same, right? Avena coleoptile, which is the oat seedlings. Very important one. Look into the picture. Decapitation usually result in the growth of. What do you mean by that, friends? Suppose this is the coleoptile. What we have done, we cut the tip. So without tip, it is looking like this, right? So that is what exactly we can call the decapitated part. You only try to understand. If I cut the tip, what is not there? Auxin is not there. If auxin is not there, what will happen? The lateral buds will start growing. So what's the question they asked? Decapitation usually result in the growth of what buds? Lateral buds. Direct question. All very, very good question. This is also not to get confused. All the gibberellic acids are, anyway, the name itself indicating the gibberellic acid, which is the acidic in nature. You know, right? There are more than one, we will discuss in the lesson, there are more than 150 gibberellins are present, friends. GA1, GA2, GA3, GA4, like that, many are there. but the first identified is the GA3. Never ever get confused. First discovered is the GA3. Most active form is the GA1. Not to get confused with that point, friends. Fungal pathogen. Not to get confused, the fungal pathogen responsible for Bacane disease of the rice seedling is. I hope every student remember. In the Japan, some of the farmers observed. What they observed? Actually, friends, rice seedling. Rice will grow how much height, friends? Hardly rice will grow 3 to 4 feet. That's all. They have observed, friends, some of the rice seedling, they have grown up to 13 to 15 feet they have grown. Then what the farmers in the village, they understood, because of some disease, it is growing like that. So in their own language, in the village language, they have given the name Bacane disease, also called as what? Foolish seedlings. What do you mean by the word foolish seedlings? Which are growing unnecessarily. Later, the intelligent scientist named as Kurosawa, that he identified, every student try to understand, there is a fungus named as Gibberella fusicori. It is the one which is actually causing that excess elongation. That is the answer. Direct question. 22. In which of the plant Skoog observed callus during their? Easy question, right? This is also in the tobacco plant. And remember, while doing experiment with what? Experiment with the cytokinin. Okay. So what they have done? Anyone remember? They have taken different type of extracts. They have taken milk extract. They have taken DNA extract. They have taken vascular extract. To all these extract, they have added oxygen, and finally they have introduced where they introduced into the internodal region of the tobacco plant. This is the stem. These are all internodals. So exactly at this internodal region only they have introduced. As a result, what happened, friends? It starts showing the elongation. Right. So try to understand. They have done this experiment first in the tobacco plant, not to get upset, not to confuse with that. 23. Cytokinins have specific effect on, obviously, the name itself indicating na cytokinin, which is involved in the cytoplasmic division, which is a straightforward question. The answer is the cytokinesis. And question number 24, identify the substance which is an adenine derivative compound. Last time also I have told you. What is that? Cytokinin. Cytokinin is actually derived from the adenine. That's why cytokinin is also called as what? Aminopurine. Not to get confused with that point, friends. Coconut milk is added to the nutrient medium as a source of, just now I told you, right? From the coconut milk only, we have extracted the naturally occurring cytokinin named as the giatin. That is what they have asked the question. Coconut milk is added to the nutrient medium as a source of cytokinin. Find out the gaseous hormone from the following. Direct question, which is the ethylene. Bud, remember, bud and seed dormancy can be eliminated by. See, friends, I want you to understand the question correctly. They are not asking which will promote. If I ask you which is promoting, that is undoubtedly abscisic acid. But the question says that bud and seed dormancy can be eliminated undoubtedly by, friends, hormone ethylene. This is the one which is involved in the elimination of the dormant condition. 28. Find out the plant growth regulator which is used to initiate flowering and for synchronized fruit set in pineapple. I don't know whether you remember or not. Today morning only we discussed. You all people commonly know that. Remember my words. Ethylene as well as, friends, not to get confused with this question, auxin. Auxin is involved in the flowering. There is a no doubt about it. Ethylene is also involved in the flowering. There is a no doubt about it. But in the option, they have given auxin also. They have given the, what we can say, ethylene also. But I want you people to remember, especially they have mentioned in the pineapple. So since they have mentioned very clearly about the pineapple, when compared to the auxin, in more percentage, ethylene is the one which initiate the flowering and fruit set very specifically in the pineapple. Hence, friends, you people has to choose the answer ethylene. Originally, the hormone auxin is also involved in the flowering, not to get confused. But fruit set in pineapple is majorly mediated by the ethylene only, not to get confused. Next, the most widely used compound as a source of ethylene. Just now I told you, right? Aqueous solution of ethylene, which is involved in the artificial ripening. What is that? Ethaphone. This is auxin. This is cytokinin. This is also auxin. So which is used, friends? Obviously, ethylene can be used. Abscission of leaves and flowers is promoted by, already told you, abscission, falling down. When the leaf will fall down, when the leaf become older, when the flower become fall down, when the flower become matured. So means they become older. How is that possible? By the hormone ethylene only. Not to get confused with that. Find out the growth. Listen. Find out the growth inhibitor and an inhibitor of plant metabolism is. In the first class only I told you. Auxin, cytokinin, gibberellic acid. These are all growth promoters. Is it or not? Of course, yes. And the most important, ethylene can act as a growth promoter also, inhibitor also, depending on the condition. But which is a truly growth inhibitor? Undoubtedly, the hormone abscisic acid is the truly growth inhibitor, not to get confused. A plant growth regulator which stimulates the closure of stomata is, the moment you heard the name of closure of stomata, we are studying from the 10th standard, which is the abscisic acid. Why? That's also a very good question. Why? Because, friends, turgidity, flaccidity is the very common answer. Listen to me very correctly. These two are guard cells. My friends, every student remember, on the membrane of the guard cell, there is a receptor is located to the abscisic acid. So abscisic acid will come and associated to that receptor. Then they will cause the flaccid and turgid condition. Then the stomata will be opened and closed. Obviously, abscisic acid is the answer. 33. Select the compound which is derivative of the carotenoid. I told you, right? Abscisic acid. Cytokinin is adenine. Ethylene is gaseous. Auxin is indole. So the question is, which is the carotenoid derivative? Undoubtedly abscisic acid. No doubt about it. Easy to understand, easy to remember. Then auxins were isolated by. That's also very important one, because the name of the scientist you people has to remember. Francis W. Went. From where? From the Avena grass seedlings. Not to get confused, not to forget. How many growth inhibitors were reported by 3 independent researchers in the during 1960? All the students, not to get confused, this is also a very good question. In the year 1960s, 3 different scientists from 3 different laboratories. 3 different people from 3 different places, 3 different laboratories, they have identified 3 type of inhibitors. And these, after few years, it was identified that all the 3 inhibitors structurally and functionally same. So what is that 3 inhibitor? Abscisic acid. Based on the 3 inhibitors, they have derived a common compound. They have given a common name, abscisic acid. Right. So what are those 3 names? Dormin, abscicin. There is another compound, I forgot it. I will explain in the lesson. Those 3 inhibitors were isolated by a 3 different scientists in it from the different laboratories. But what they observed, those 3 inhibitors are structurally and functionally similar. That's why they have given the name abscisic acid. Not to get confused with that particular point. Answer is 3. N6 perfluoryl aminopurine. Just now I told you, right, friends? Adenine is derived from the aminopurine, which is the at N6. It is called N6 perfluoryl aminopurine. Undoubtedly, direct answer is the adenine. I will explain these 3 inhibitors while I am explaining the lesson. Kinetin is chemically. Just now the same question they have asked in a different manner. Friends, once again, I'm explaining you not to get confused. Kinetin is a artificial cytokinin, friends. Not to confuse, please. Zeatin is the naturally occurring cytokinin. So, whether it is a kinetin, whether it is the zeatin, what they are adenine only, right? I'm sorry. They are the cytokinin only. Cytokinin is derived from what? Adenine. So, kinetin is chemically N6-perfluoryl aminopurine. No doubt about it. Then question number 38, cytokinins, I think it got repeated. Among the following, one is not the, remember, which is not the function of the growth inhibitor. See friends, growth inhibitor, what it will do, it always inhibit. See, flowering and seed dormancy, of course, that is one of the major function performed by the inhibitor. Seed formation and abscission, that is also inhibition process. Dormancy of seeds and inhibition, that is also growth inhibition process. Cell division and flowering. Cell division is required for what? Growth. Division means what? Growth, right? Here flowering is right, but dormancy is wrong. Cell division and flowering too are required for the growth. So growth inhibitor never ever perform these functions. Only growth promoters will perform these functions. Hence, what is the right answer? Number 4. Question number 40. F. Skoog and co-workers added the following substance in addition to auxin in their experiment: yeast extract or coconut milk. I told you, right? Yeast extract or coconut milk, even they have added vascular extract, nothing but xylem extract. So they have taken these three chemicals. These three chemicals, what they have added? They have added the auxin. And finally, where they introduced? They introduced into the internodal region of the stem of the tobacco plant. Simple point it is. Correct, na? So what will be the answer? 3. These 3 contains what? Cytokinin. But the interesting point every student has to remember, if the hormone cytokinin wants to act in the plant, it is compulsory require the presence of auxin. Never forget that. Choose the correct statement from the following. Every one of you. F. Skoog, they are asking friends, choose the correct statement. F. Skoog and co-workers observed internodal segments gives callus in tomato stems. No, they observed in where? Tobacco. Option 1 is wrong. E. Kurosawa reported the symptoms of Bakane disease in the right seedling. Kurosawa is the Japanese scientist who understand that Gibberellia fusicora is the fungi which is attacking the rice seedlings. Of course, true. Charles Darwin and his son conducted experiments in tobacco. Wrong statement. Miller alone crystallized the cytokinin. No, there are other co-workers. So friends, the direct, straightforward and correct answer is only option 2. Direct question. See, that's why, friends, it is very important to remember the name of the scientist compulsory and their contributions. Choose the correct statement from the following. Not to get, once again, remember, they are asking correct statement. Kinetin means what? Cytokinin, right? Adenine derivatives, right? Abscisic acid is derivative of terpene, wrong, right? Abscisic acid is the derivative of carotenoids. It is wrong statement. Gibberellic acid is a gaseous phytohormone, wrong, right? Ethylene is the gaseous phytohormone. IAA is the derivative of N6-perfluoryl aminopurine, wrong statement, right? It is the derivative of what? Derivative of indole. Hence, which is the only statement that is correct is the number 1. Study of a phototropic response led to the discovery of, all the students try to understand, phototropism. Today morning class also I told you, right? Phototropism response and the gravitropism response can be shown by what, friends? Indole acetic acid, that is the auxin. Phototropism towards the light, gravitropism towards the gravity. 44. The PGR that could fit in both promotory and inhibitory groups, but it is largely an inhibitory of growth activities is. I told you, right? There is the only hormone which act like a promoter also, inhibitor also, but most of the time act like an inhibitor. What is that? Undoubtedly ethylene. Abscisic acid is purely inhibitor. Friends, please not to get confused, okay? Abscisic acid is pure inhibitor. Auxin is pure promoter, which can act as both promoter and inhibitor and widely act as inhibitor, which is ethylene. Not to get confused. That's a very good question. Question number 45. Which of the following plant hormone is extracted from the fungus? What was that? Gibberellins. What is the name of that particular fungus, friends? The name of the fungus is the Gibberellia fusicori. 46. Which one of the following of the plant growth substance is not a growth promoter? Auxin promoter, gibberellin promoter, kinetin promoter, which is cytokinetin. Cytokinin. Abscisic acid, which is the inhibitor. So correct answer is 4. Chemical formula of ethylene. Every student read more number of times. So what was that? C2H4 is the chemical formula of the ethylene. Not to get confused. That they never ask. 48. Chemically identical growth. See, that's a very, very good question. They're asking chemically identical growth inhibitors are inhibitor and Darmin. See, now I remember. There are 3 type of inhibitors were identified. One is called abscissin. Then second one is called Darmin. The third one is called inhibitor B. Okay. These 3 are the name of the inhibitors. Right. Now, based on these 3 names only, friends, we have given the common name called as the abscisic acid. Now, what is the question they asked? Chemically identical growth inhibitors. What did I told you? These 3 inhibitors structurally and functionally same. So they're asking which are chemically same, inhibitor and Darmin. Not to get confused. Ethylene and inhibitor never be. Ethylene is a gaseous hormone. Inhibitor is the abscisic acid. Darmin is the abscisic acid, kinetin, cytokinin. Both are not same. Darmin is abscisic acid, ethylene. How ethylene abscisic acid is same? How abscisic acid and cytokinin is same? Only these 2 are the derivatives of abscisic acid only. Hence the correct answer is 2. Direct question. Very good question. Question number 49. The meaning of oxygen. Oxin in Greek language is, I told you right in the morning class, oxin means to grow. Who has given this particular name? Francis W. Went. So the answer is what? 2. Question number 50. The auxin is not applied to the following compound. 2,4-D synthetic auxin, NAA synthetic auxin, IBA natural auxin. This is abscisic acid. Hence the correct answer is what? 4. Plant growth regulator that mainly helps in the formation of a roots in the stem cutting. Friends, I told you right, roots can be given by auxin. If they ask the question the shoot, then undoubtedly the answer will be the cytokinin. Select the PGR which promote rapid internode or petiole elongation in deep water rice plants. This is also a very, very good question. See, friends, you tell me what is the height of the rice seedling? Hardly half a feet it is, very small. When you keep it in the watery field, listen my words very correctly, when you keep it in the deep water, in few days, they will grow up to 3 to 4 feet. So what is happening there? So here internodes are getting elongated in this particular short plant, in that short rice seedling, rice plant. By which hormone that internodal and petiole get elongated? By the hormone ethylene. It is the one which plays a key role in the internodal and petiole elongation in a water plant, rice plant, not in all. Please, friends, don't get confused. In the question, if they ask which is the hormone which is just involved in the internodal elongation, every student has to choose the answer gibberellic acid. Never ever get confused with that. A lawn is found to be having dicot weeds. The PCR that the gardener must to use obtain weed-free lawn. What did I told you? 2,4-D, 2,4-5. 2,4 dichlorophenoxyactic acid, 2,4,5 trichlorophenoxyactic acid. What did I told to all of you? These 2 are acting like what? Weedicides. Not to get confused with that. If a growing plant is decapitated, I already told you, no, don't think that growth will stop. That is wrong statement. When you cut the tip, what happened? There is a growth of the axillary buds. Never ever get confused with that. What's the correct answer? Option 2. Growth never stops, friends. Seedless tomatoes are produced by spraying auxins on the flower. I told you, right? What is the technique called as? parthenocarpy. Correct, na? Even you can produce the lychee also by using, even you can produce the banana also by using the hormone auxin. Not to get confused, friends. I told you I have explained in the today's morning class. I don't know. A decapitated plant exposure to unilateral light. What did I told you, friends? Unilateral light. First of all, you have to remember, they are using the word decapitated part. There is a no cap. No cap means no oxygen. Without oxygen, you have exposure to the unilateral sunlight. Do you think it will bend? It never ever bend because there is a no oxygen. There is a no tip. Hence, the direct answer does not show bending movement. Hence, the correct answer is 4. 57. Flowering in pineapple. Every student remember, flowering in pineapple is promoted by. This is the good question. I told you, right? Auxin also in same question we have seen right before. Flowering in the pineapple stimulated by auxin also, ethylene also. But most appropriate is ethylene. I want you to choose answer correctly, friends. So 57, the answer will be 4. 57, the answer will be 4. But friends, if they ask you to choose only one hormone, choose ethylene. For the pine, I am talking about only pineapple. But if they if they did not given the auxin, then choose only ethylene. If they did not given ethylene, then choose only auxin. If they given both options, you have to choose the both options compulsory. Friends, not to get confused with that. Which of the following is the herbicide? Same. 2,4 dichlorophenoxyestic acid, 2,4,5 trichlorophenoxyestic acid. They act like herbicides and weedicides. Which of the following is not an influence of auxin? Tropic movements, that is a phototropism, gravitropism shown by the auxin. Apical dominance is also shown by the auxin. Root initiation also shown by the auxin because it is rooting hormone. Bolting, this cannot be shown by this. Who will show the bolting? Hormone gibberellic acid will show the bolting. Not to get confused. Hence the correct answer is 2. Question number 60. The curvature in Avena coleoptile is associated with which growth of substance? Which is the auxin. So friends, we completed 60 questions. Then the next 60 questions we will read moderate level to the difficult level of the questions. Okay. So I will see you in the next class. Kindly make use of all the questions. Thank you. Thank you all.